studio album from producer and rapper J. Cole. This new project comes as somewhat of a surprise considering it was only formally announced a couple of weeks ago. It's also been just over 3 years since KOD dropped back in 2018, and that has been the longest period of time that J. Cole fans have had to wait for a new album since his debut 10 years ago. In that period of time, J. Cole has been doing quite a few things. He's been building up hype for the follow-up to KOD, The Fall Off, as well as collaborating extensively, more so than he's ever really done in his career. Stepping out of his usual perceived comfort zone, he was working with artists like Offset and 21 Savage, Young Thug, Travis Scott, and it all pointed to a direction of a period of significant evolution for J. Cole as an artist. Ever since 2014 Forest Hills Drive, J. Cole has infamously refrained from having guest features on his albums, which has led to a multitude of different memes. Even from a production standpoint, he had a very, very tight-knit group that he was used to working with, and for the most part, they were the only ones that were contributing beats to his albums. That was starting to change after the release of KOD, and that culminated in 2019's Revenge of the Dreamers 3, which saw upwards of 30 or 40 different guest vocalists and a number of different producers all coming together for one of the most ambitious collaborative hip-hop projects ever, really. All of these artists were coming from different niches of the hip-hop and R&B worlds, and what it sounded like is that J. Cole was open and willing to try new things and take on new influences. And thankfully, that willingness to try something new and work with other people that he might not necessarily have worked with before has carried on onto this new project. Cole enlists the help of some top-tier producers like Boy Wonder, DJ Dahi, and Timbaland, as well as his usual collaborators. We also get a few guest vocalists, which is the first time we've had guest vocalists on a Cole album since 2013's Born Sinner. There's Bars, who is from Dreamville, who contributes to a couple tracks. There's Murray, an up-and-coming singer. There's Black, but most notably, there's Lil Baby and 21 Savage. The whole off-season basketball theme to the album has, in my opinion, J. Cole much more relaxed than he's been in recent years, and the whole thing kind of sounds like a throwback mixtape kind of project. As a result, this album has some of Cole's most fluid and organic music in years. The album is a tight and concise 39 minutes long. It's characterized by a mesh of classic boom bap aesthetics and a sprinkling of trap elements. Cole, from a lyrical standpoint, is, as ever, straight to the point, extremely direct in his lyrics, and he's not trying to pull off some crazy lyrical acrobatics just for the sake of it. But now he's combined that foundation to his sound with a unique perspective that can only come as a result of him getting into his twilight years, kind of. He's in his mid-30s now, and he's also got a very astute ear to the ground. However, even though he's existing in this new kind of space, he still makes the time to touch on important, pressing issues, as he usually does in his music. Surprisingly, this is most overtly done on the album's interlude, which was released as a single the week before the album drop, which is kind of a flex. T-Minus provides this skittering beat as Cole touches on gun violence and the drug game and the rap game as well. And he makes time to pay tribute to a couple of legends who passed away early in Pimp C and Nipsey Hussle. There's this kind of rousing, triumphant nature to a lot of these songs, and that's apparent from the opening track, 95 South. The faint trumpets and chants sound like Cole was literally stepping out onto a basketball court. Again, lyrically, once again, he's not really doing anything new here. It's just he has this newfound sense of perspective. He's commenting on the rap game, but what I think he does better here than he has done in recent years is he doesn't sound patronizing, which I think he has had a tendency to do on previous projects, specifically KOD. He goes in with a maturity and level-headedness that Cole is very comfortable rapping in. I do particularly like the bar, "What you sold, I tripled that, I can't believe these fucking clowns. Look how everybody clapping when your 30-song album do a measly 100,000. I can't tell you how much it gets under my fucking skin when I'm looking forward to an album and I see it and there's 25 songs and it's an hour and 10 minutes and it's culture too. The M on your head like Luigi Brother bar is kind of hilarious as well. We also get a couple of vocal appearances from Cameron and Lil Jon, of all people, to open and close out the track. Cole goes a bit more for a melodic vibe on the second song, Amari. I do like his flow, it's pretty locked in, but the one thing about the song is that I just wish the flute in the background was just a bit louder so I could hear it. Speaking of melodic tracks, we get more of that flavor on the song Pride is the Devil with Lil Baby. This is, I think, one of the strongest songs on the album. T-Minus reuses a sample he's used before on Amine's Can't Decide from last year, although this one I think is ever so slightly slower. Cole sings pretty well on this track, and he quite cleverly explores and deconstructs the concept of pride and what it means to be proud and the implications of that. His singing on the hook is, I think, particularly good. And then he gets into this rapid fire flow where he hands the baton over to Little Baby, who kills his feature. His rhyme scheme is super interesting. His flow is dynamic. It's always engaging. But the most important thing is that his lyrics conceptually match the song perfectly. The other major feature on the album is 21 Savage on the song My Life. And stylistically, it's very similar to Cole and Savage's previous collaboration a lot. Specifically, the moody, murky soul sample that forms the bedrock of the track. Cole sounds urgent and very immediate with his verse, and Murray singing the hook, I think, sounds quite beautiful. 21 Savage continues his, frankly, amazing evolution as a rapper as he touches on his childhood, his upbringing, as well as his future. Most of these songs lyrically are pretty simple, they're pretty straightforward to follow, but I think that is where J. Cole shines. I think that is where he writes his strongest lyrics. It's for that reason why I think this is more akin to a mixtape kind of project, but also why I think that J. Cole's mixtapes are his strongest today. When he's not concerned with trying to be too heady, and when he's just concerned with writing simple, super relatable, down-to-earth raps, he starts to excel and it becomes pretty captivating. That humility comes through on the song 100 Mil particularly. He keeps himself in check by continually trying to improve and not getting complacent. Like he says, 100 mil and he's still on the grind. That's the entire reason why J. Cole has been so successful for such a long period of time. He does more singing on this song as he references his willingness to open up a bit more and try new things, both in the lyrics and in the sound of the song itself. It's up there with the more melodic tracks on the album, and it's also one of the catchiest. There's only a couple of moments here and there where it starts to falter and J. Cole regresses into some of the things that was holding back some of his previous projects. The Climb Back, which dropped last year in the Lewis Strip 2-pack thing, sounds even more underwhelming in the context of this album. Some of the bars are painfully simple and kind of corny, like the "you'll see how I flip" like exclamation points. The beat is pretty uninteresting to me. It's easily the most unfocused song on the album, and I do genuinely think they could have just completely done without it. In terms of the rest of the album, I do see and appreciate that Cole is trying to step out of his comfort zone and try new things, especially with all the singing that he does on his album. But I just kind of want a bit more. I want him to push the boat out even more. For the most part, the album is pretty uniform and consistent sonically, but I would love to see J. Cole take a genuine risk. He has the safety net of his immense fan base to do something like that. He's one of the biggest rappers in the world, and he still is yet to truly challenge his fans or people's preconceptions of what a J. Cole song would sound like. But that's just on a personal level. Like I said, this album is, for the most part, pretty solid and consistent. Songs like Applying Pressure or Punching the Clock are straight up boom bap bangers. The album finishes with Hunger on Hillside, and I think this is the strongest closer to an album that J. Cole has ever put out. The lush strings are weaved into the track so seamlessly. Cole, once again, is singing, and this is the strongest display of his voice, I think, so far in his career. The beat is genuinely amazing thanks to one of the most underappreciated producers of all time, Boy Wonder. Cole uses this song to essentially outline who he is and why he is the way he is, and why he is able to basically remain so grounded and down to earth despite reaching the crazy heights he has hit. Keeping focused, not focusing on money, and just staying true to who you are. These are the core aspects of who J. Cole is, and that has been unashamedly on show for the entirety of J. Cole's career. His strongest asset has always been his authenticity and his humility. That's what makes him relatable. Cole flows throughout the entire song. It always sounds like it's building and building and building until we get to this genuinely beautiful outro piece. If the off-season is this build-up to the fall-off, then J. Cole is going in pretty good form. I do hope that Cole continues this mini evolution that he's been having, and he continues to explore some of the sounds on the off-season. Me personally, I'm crossing my fingers that J. Cole takes just a bit of a bolder risk. That's all I want to hear from Cole. The reason I want Cole to do this is, one, he has that safety net, his fan base super dedicated, so I don't think they would abandon him or anything. But the main reason is that I think Cole has the talent to pull it off. Those are my thoughts on the new J. Cole album. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Make sure to like, subscribe, and dong the bell. And I will see you next time.